last time I was here, I was sitting on the floor with 500 people, no shoes, everybody meditating. It was a week called The Seduction of the Spirit. And when I told my friends I was coming to La Costa to do a meditation week, everybody was like, what? You meditation? You're like the cardio girl, shark diving, absolute adrenaline driven. You're not the meditation type. And I came here and I was trying to actually remember, why did I come here that time? And I came, the first reason, and that's clear to me why I came, is because Deepak asked me. And as we know, when Deepak asks you to come, look at us, we come, right? There we go. But the second reason was, and it's still a little mystery to me, I don't know why I came. I was like pulled to it. I don't know why I took a week holiday to come and sit down and meditate for 6 hours every day, which is not my thing, or not, it was not. Have no alcohol for a week, have all these silent people and so on, and I just didn't know what I was meant to be doing. And even today, I'm not sure what is pulling me to be here, but I know there's something that I have to stop being the control freak that I am and just like let it go and surrender and see that I am in for the consciousness project, as Deepak said, and I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure why are we all saying we're in, but I really hope that at the end of this discussion we can figure it out together. And I came here to talk about branding social causes, but to be honest, I took an executive decision now. Let's not talk about branding social causes. Let's talk about something that I think is by far more relevant to what I've been hearing here, which is influence and mainstreaming. How are we going to take all of this, all the conversations, and influence and go and persuade people and do engagement and do mainstream about it? So I have to take this thing, sorry. When I was 6 years old, and I told this story to Jeff, my father took me to a restaurant, a very busy restaurant, and we ordered the food, and then he stood up and left. And he left me there for half an hour. I was 6. And then he came back and he said, like, so, what happened? And I was like, well, we ordered food and you stood up and went and left. And he said, no, what happened in the table behind you? What's the name of the waiter? How many plants are there? What's the story of the people next to you? And he did that year after year, time after time, taking me to busy restaurants and leaving me there for half an hour. And he would come back and ask me. He really wanted me to open my eyes wide open. And I did. I did learn how to open my eyes, and he was doing it with the best of intentions because I was a miracle of his life. From my 3 siblings, 2 of them died when they were 18 months old. All of us developed really fast, started like walking too fast and so on, and when they reached 9 months old, the 2 of them, not me, from walking to crawling, from crawling to sitting, from sitting to not moving anymore. So all the eyes, all the big eyes were on me. Was I going to make it? Was I going to survive? And my father used to tell me, you're stronger than death. So there must be a reason why you're here. And I did learn how to open my eyes, and I saw a number of things, and the sad thing is that I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like the poverty, I didn't like the injustice, I didn't like Mexico in 2 different ways. And I got very, very upset. And so I took a decision, which was leave. Leave Mexico 20 years from now. I'm going to be gone for 20 years. I left with a naive idea that I was going to try to do my bit to fix the world. I could say that all over my life, since I left Mexico, I've been working actually on things that are improving the state of the world. Now I have the privilege to work for this organization, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria. And just to correct a little bit, I love that you give me that credit, but Raja Gupta and a number of people, Ray Chambers, that have been really creating the Global Fund would say, this is the most efficient organization that exists. It takes actually money from the G8 and the G20 countries and really does a fabulous a fabulous job in doing grant management to the countries that are high on the burden of AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. And we do it in a way that it's very efficient, but also it's actually saving lives. It's been 9 million lives since we created the Global Fund, they created the Global Fund, that otherwise we'd be dead. And with the funding, we're at that point, and I just want to give you one message about the Global Fund, which is we're making it. We are defeating AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. What Ray said this morning is true. We're going to kill these diseases, and we're going to change the history for them. The only thing we need to do is continue doing it, continue with the fight. But so what is my job there more than anything is to get leaders of the world to get to know the Global Fund, love the Global Fund, so that they can support the Global Fund. And the support is huge. We're doing our next round of funding, $15 billion for the next 3 years in 2 months. That's not short money, especially when Europe, is collapsing and there are other domestic pressures. That's huge. So what's my contribution to that? And in a nutshell, we've been talking about it all day long. It's funny how, it's not funny, you would say it's synchrodestiny and so on, but everyone today has been speaking about one thing from different angles, which is we're one. And that's what I want to do. That's what I try to do, and I think that's how we met. I was talking about how organizations like mine put the emphasis on the difference in how poor kids are in Africa with runny nose and flying like flies in the eyes, and how we in the West don't have that. We don't even know the name of the countries where these kids live. No. What we have to do is actually remind leaders that we are one, that we are all humans, that we are all have the same fears and the same desires, the same hopes that we have for our kids here. They have it in Somalia. The same desire to laugh is here and there. So the core is actually to focus on the similarities and never on the differences. We are one. And we use different people, like, for example, I'm showing a photo here of Charlize Theron. These are photos from last week. I was in South Africa with Charlize. And you know what? You have to use anything that's possible, from social media to celebrities, anything that works. And people respond to celebrities in a different way. And I think that for the Conscious Project, that's an interesting way to do it. To get the attention of celebrities like Charlize that would be opening doors, getting good PR for the people that they're doing. And let's face it, we're all a little bit celebrity gaga, so it's easier for the president of South Africa to say, yeah, I'll get Charlize Theron to talk to me about the Global Fund than for us. But all what I'm trying to say is that teenagers here have the exact same desires as teenagers in South Africa. And I want to tell you, or in South Africa or elsewhere, once when I was working for refugees, I went to a refugee camp in East Sudan. And there was this girl, stunning, like beautiful eyes, absolute gorgeous in the energy. You could just feel that she was like there. And I went and sat down with her. And I was like, so, okay, what's your story? And she was coming from Eritrea. Girls in Eritrea normally are condemned to be in the military service for life. So no chance to study, no chance to get a job, no chance to get a husband. They are in the military service for life. So most of the girls actually take the risk and escape. And so she was telling me, her name was Farah, and she was telling me that half of the girls that she escaped with didn't make it. And 2 of them were wounded. And I was like, why? What did you have in your mind, Farah? I was looking at these beautiful eyes, and I was like, what did you have in your mind? What was driving you? And you know what she said? A pair of jeans. I want to be able to study so that I can work, so that I can make the decision to buy a pair of jeans. And you know what? I thought that was me. I was listening to myself when I was 18. I wanted the freedom to be able to choose for my own sake. So we're so the same. I just saw myself in this woman. And I want to stop here just for a second, because I think that there's something interesting that I'd like to ask. Who are you? Who from this Sages and Scientists audience, has a project that your friends or family think, ooh, that's ambitious. That's really on the ambitious side. Who has a project here? Just like help me here. Okay, who from you would benefit from having the support from the one or many people that you need to get on board so that you can take it off or take it to the next level? All right? And so who from those of you think you know how to get the influence, how to get that support in a very systemic way? Who feels that masters the system of getting influence and support for your projects? Well, there you go. That's a hard, like that's really good. That's the part that I would like to talk to you about, and that's where I think the science of the only scientific part of me is about like getting the science of influencing decision makers, and this is becoming now mainstream. There is this site that is called relationship science that gets you to anyone from the decision makers. I think this is the LinkedIn of the 1% that gets you to what's the distance between me and Angela Merkel, and how do I get to her? But there are, like, this is relationship science, and it is just a way to, it's a database, but it doesn't tell you how are you going to do the influencing. And the way I do it, or the way I've been doing it, and I think that would work for us, is actually to create it by creating bubbles. This is a Truman show. This is about how do I get decision makers in a closed space so that all they see and everything they hear is about us. How do you create the world of consciousness in the minds of everyone that needs to hear it so that there's no way they can skip it? And, do you want to say something? No. So, I was like, yeah, bring it on. Help me here. The creation of a bubble is there's nothing that I think it's more different than trying to engage and influence people. And the way to do it in a way, the way I'm doing it at the Global Fund, for example, is to try to identify really who are your stakeholders, who are the people that you really need to get on board to the projects that you're doing, to the projects that you want to get out of take on board. So in my case, right now it's only 25 to 50 people. But because I cannot take the phone call, I cannot just pick up the phone and say, like, David Cameron, yes, hi, I wanted to talk to you about for a second. We can't do that in regular basis. We don't have the access to prime ministers or to the people that really matter to us, so we have to cascade it. And in order to do that, you create the bubbles and the systems. It's really a systematic algorithm way to go about and get the companies and the people that you need on board. So I have this wonderful colleague who's absolutely brilliant and has this beautiful, shiny skin that you want to just like have a conversation with her about anything that she wants. And she said, okay, look, so what we need to do is get the people that are going to benefit from us, talking to the people that we need to agree on. So we're going to take the Global Fund out of the equation. We're not going to be, in the case of the Consciousness Project, for example, we're not going to be talking about what are we going to be benefiting, is why would they get engaged? So we got a list in which you have the people that can advocate for you, and you know exactly how frequent can you get to talk to them, and in what way. Do they like letters? Do they like to get visited by Bill Gates? Do they want to have Bono mentioning them? What is the way in which we're going to get to the core through the different bubbles? So just to say, systematically, I think that there are three. Systematically, in order to create a bubble, the things that have worked for me is, one, map the people that you need to get to. Two, get the motivations. Why would they engage with you? And third, which is things that everybody has said, play on the legacy, play on the significance. Why is this meaningful to them? Why would they be part of a tribe, the belonging to somewhere? And what we're doing right now is actually just to make sure at the Global Fund level that we tap into the legacy, into the bigger generation, because we can do it. It's a promise that not everybody can do. But because we can, this is like Alicia Keys telling President Obama, you do want to be the president that ends AIDS. So it is tapping into the legacy. I'm going to skip I'm not sure how we're in time. Yeah, we're going to skip the video if we can. let me see. We have a little time left. So, is this like time over? You could relax. This guy that you see there, his name is Tlotliso. And he reminded me, this kid is about, like, probably, if he's not dead, he was very close to to being dead last time I saw him in Zambia. His mother wouldn't want to treat him. And I remember my father said, you have to open your eyes wide open. You have to open your eyes wide open. Whatever. My mother said, that's not good enough. You have to be grateful. You survived. You have to be grateful. Every day you open your eyes, you have to be grateful, and then you have to dare to do something about it. It's not good enough to observe things. It's good. You have to actually take action. And my mother and my father could have not been more different. My mother is totally square. She's totally round. She's an actress. My father is an engineer. She's all about improvisation. He's all about infrastructure and planning. So that could have been, could have given a result of me being without form. And I don't think I do have a form. But what I do know is that I got a lot of flexibility out of it. It's not good enough for me to do what I do just to be a good humanitarian. I have to be business case as well. And I have to be very humble about what I do, but coming from a position of power. But the one thing that I do, I'm really grateful to my upbringing, is that I have the flexibility to be really comfortable being in the refugee camp in Somalia or in Davos having champagne talking about poverty. And you have to suck it up. You have to, in my position, you do have to be comfortable everywhere. And that's what's allowing me to do the work that I do, because in order to talk to decision makers, you need to know that it's not a television show. People are dying. Even if we have progress made, 3,200 people die every day in Africa of AIDS. And that's not necessary. It's preventable. It takes 2 pills and 40 cents. And you know what? I'm not going to take it. Because if it takes 2 pills and 40 cents, that's what we're going to do. And that's why I am not going to let go on influencing decision makers, because we have to believe, if this is a conscious progress, we have to believe that it's better and the vision actually will succeed any individual interest. The beauty of the conference I've seen, and thank you so much for the invitation, is that there is a trend out there of giving. People are really, this is a moment in which the ambivalent, the paradigm of the past of, having and giving, you have to be, if you're powerful, you cannot be good, that's over. Giving has had a breakthrough, which has made my work by far easier. But one thing I just want to say is giving feels good. And we have to transmit, we know this, we have to transmit that out there by far more. I am really grateful that I got not to be insane by, the upbringing of my father, putting me in observation games in restaurants, and having my mother forcing me to not only open my eyes, but give more. Because over time, that became a natural skill to me. And I have to admit, today, I do the same games with decision makers. I force them to open their eyes. I bring them to the field to Africa to see what the reality is. And then I somehow push them as well to take action. And in the future, I really hope that that's going to become a natural skill for all of us. Thank you.
So, I learned 2 very important things right now. One was strategy, public opinion, influencers, decision makers. That's the root. Public opinion is what we're doing here. Influencers is also what we're doing here. And the third step is to get to the decision makers. The second thing I learned just now is I've got to stop explaining consciousness as non-local, acausal, quantum mechanical, interrelatedness. She said it in one sentence: we are one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.